by the former FBI director about the president. On Thursday, millions watched as James Comey called the president a liar, said that he believed Russia did interfere in the 2016 presidential election. He says that he believes he was fired because of the Russian investigation.
There's no doubt that it's a fair judgment, it's my judgment, that I was fired because of the Russia investigation. I was fired in some way to change, or the endeavor was to change the way the Russia investigation was being conducted. That is a very big deal, and not just because it involves me.
The president fought back one day later, saying that he feels vindicated.
No collusion, no obstruction. He's a leaker, but we want to get back to running our great country.
A News4Jax political analyst and director of JU's Public Policy Institute, Rick Mullaney, joins us now to talk about all of this. Just he said is the best way to put this, because it's like, who do you believe? They both have different sides here. What are the takeaways from both of them, what they said?
Well, you know, sometimes people always say that because people have different recollections of the same conversation that somebody must be lying. And I'm not so sure. I think that sometimes may be a little bit harsh. But as far as what the takeaways are here from what happened, I think in the end it was not a very good day for Donald Trump, in the sense that the portrait painted of him went after his integrity, and the portrait painted by James Comey was one of someone who was either acting improperly or potentially even corruptly. However, there were clear upsides for Donald Trump. That includes the fact that it confirmed that 3 separate times James Comey did confirm that the president was not under investigation, that from a legal standpoint, I don't believe legally there is sufficient evidence here from a legal standpoint for obstruction of justice. And I think for Donald Trump, he can point to the fact that he did nothing actually in his dealings with Mr. Comey to interfere with Russia, or in fact the allegations, the Russian investigation or collusion. So bad day with some upside. For Mr. Comey, I don't think such a good day either in the long run. And Jeff Sessions and Loretta Lynch, by the way, did not have great days themselves.
Not so great for the 4 of them. So did anyone win here? If we could call a winner, was it Comey, Trump, or just...
I think this is sort of like a baseball game or a football game where I'd be reluctant to call for a winner in the early innings or in the first half. But this is a piece of an investigation. In the week ahead, this week alone, before the Senate Intelligence Committee, you're going to be getting key testimony. Jeff Sessions will be testifying. Jared Kushner will be testifying. In the weeks ahead, in the next couple weeks, we'll find out whether the tapes even exist. The president on Friday said he would subject himself to sworn testimony. He'd be glad to testify. I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. I don't know of any lawyer who would allow him to do that. But important work will be done in the weeks ahead by the special counsel, Mr. Mueller, and by the Senate Intelligence Committee.
What if there's no hard proof to any of what they're saying at all? I mean, because again, it is he said, he said. If neither of them have proof, where do we go from here?
Well, remember, there's separate investigations, and I think it's important to list them. The first investigation is to the extent of the interference in the 2016 election by Russia, and that will be an ongoing investigation. I think it's accepted that that did happen. Now we need to find the extent of it. The second investigation is there collusion? Was there collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia?
Right, because big difference there.
Oh, enormous, and that in part is what this is about. And so far, by the way, there's been smoke, as they say, but no fire. Third area of investigation is sort of leaking and unmasking. But now we have this fourth area of obstruction. And I don't think, based on the evidence so far, in the first half of this football game or the early innings of a baseball game, there's not enough there legally for a criminal charge. Damaging politically to the president, not damaging legally, in my opinion.
How do you think this makes the American people feel right now? I mean, it seems like there's always something, and now with this, it's just kind of concerning that this stuff is going on.
I think this is a piece of a much broader divide that we have in the country today. This is the most divided in my lifetime that I can recall the country being in terms of its partisanship. And you could see that partisanship in display post-testimony. The left calling this devastating, the right calling this vindication, the truth somewhere in between. But it's really worse than that, because on public policy issues, from health care to tax reform to military funding to immigration to civil rights, all of it is being held up in very partisan ways, making it very tough for the nation to come together. That is a problem for Donald Trump and his legislative agenda, too.
Yeah, that makes it hard to get anything done when you're so split just to be split.
There is just no question, and I think that the public in general takes a look at what's going on in Washington today, and they are very, very concerned about this strong partisan divide. It's not just a difference in policy. It's a difference in which each side has gone to their corner, won't speak to each other, not having that ability to compromise. Reagan did it with Tip O'Neill. Bill Clinton did it with Newt Gingrich. In recent years, we've had a hard time coming together to move the country together legislatively. And what we saw last week was a bit of that partisanship on display. I will say this on a note. The Senate itself I do believe was one of the winners of last week. Although partisan, I think they conducted themselves in a way that showed they were well prepared, they were professional, and they were one of the highlights of last week in a very professional hearing with Mr. Comey.
At least we got a little bit of good out of this. Thank you so much for coming on. Now, you can follow all the latest political news with our political section on newsforjax.com. We're going to post this, of course, on our website later this morning.